Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of ESO Healer Build Breakdown, the series where we take an in-depth look at some of the many healing builds found in the Elder Scrolls Online. In this episode, we'll be updating the Roaring Opportunist in Jorvuld's guidance build, otherwise known as Rojo, now that subclassing is here. Without further ado, let's get into this. So much like the dungeon build, not a whole lot has changed. The main goal of this build is to use the Roaring Opportunist set to give our allies the Major Slayer buff, which will give them a notable damage increase. Since Roaring Opportunist has a rather long cooldown, we will also be utilizing the Jorvuld's guidance set, which increases the duration of buffs and debuffs to maximize our Major Slayer uptime. Outside of managing that buff, this build essentially acts as the main group healer in a trial setting. With the new skill lines we've chosen, we'll have an even higher healing output than we've ever had previously. As we always do, let's start by talking about our choice of race and those skill lines. So, for our race, I'm sure as most of you know by now, I pretty much always play Breton for their fantastic sustain, though if you'd like to get a little more ultimate generation, Nords are an excellent choice. And for those who would like even stronger healing, you can also choose the Argonian. For our skill lines, I'm going to start, to no one's surprise, by recommending Green Balance from the Warden for strong healing output and minor toughness. Our next skill line will be Restoring Light from the Templar. That's right, Templar mains, rejoice, for another source of strong healing, as well as the best source of minor intellect, endurance, and fortitude in the game. Finally, for your flex spot, here are your options. As you can see, there are plenty of viable choices, but in my opinion, I do believe siphoning will be your best choice for this build. Even if you didn't utilize the ultimate generation from this skill line, you'd still be left with a large increase to your max resources and additional healing output. Up next, let's move on to our attributes and Mundus. For our attributes, we will want all 64 points into Magicka. For our Mundus stone, I'm running the Ritual because since I'm on a Breton and on a build that requires me to heavy attack, I don't really have issues with sustain. That being said though, if you are having some sustain issues or just want a little more of a cushion, the Atronach is also an excellent choice. For our food, my recommendation is either the Clockwork Citrus Fillet, which can be found from a quest line in the Clockwork City Outlaws Refuge, or the Witch Mother's Potent Brew, which you can buy from guild traders. They both increase your health, magicka, and magicka recovery, making them great all-around food options for all trials. For potions, I'm currently running Spell Power for the magicka that it gives us, but also the buffs that it provides us will give us a pretty significant boost to our healing output. Other than that, you can use Heroism for some ultimate generation, try Restoration for some sustain, or just some simple magicka potions if maybe you don't have a lot of other potions to spare. Up next, it's on to our champion points, and for our blue CP tree, we'll want From the Brink, which will grant a massive damage shield to allies we're healing if they fall below 25% health. Hopefully, this won't see a lot of use in your games, but like I mentioned last time, we're all human, everybody makes mistakes, it's okay to have a little bit of a cushion. Up next is Swift Renewal, and this will increase the amount of healing that our heal over time skills do. Up next is Soothing Tide, which will increase the amount of healing that our area of effect heals do. And up next is either Enlivening Overflow or Hope Infusion. Enlivening Overflow will grant group members, including yourself, extra recovery when you overheal them, and Hope Infusion will grant minor heroism, which generates ultimate to group members, including yourself, when healing them below 50%. I tend to go for Enlivening Overflow on this particular build, as the other healer in your group would likely be the one running Hope Infusion, but it doesn't really matter that much. You guys can make it work out however you want it to. For our red CP tree, we have Boundless Vitality. It'll give you a little extra health and go especially well with that minor toughness buff that you'll get from the Warden's Green Balance. Next is Fortified, which will increase our survivability even further by giving us a little extra armor. Next is Rejuvenation. This will give us some extra health, magicka, and stamina recovery, which is always nice. And lastly, we have Slippery or Celerity. Slippery will automatically break you out of any disabling effect you get hit with on a cooldown, and Celerity will increase your movement speed. I'm personally running Slippery since I pretty much always run Slippery in a trial setting, but if you don't feel like you need it, maybe the trial you're running just doesn't really have a lot of CC, Celerity is an excellent choice as well. Okay, up next we're on to skills. Like I always mention, this build assumes that you're using my combination of Green Balance, Restoring Light, and Siphoning. If you chose one or multiple of the other flex options, then you just need to swap out a couple class skills. Up first, on our Restoration Staff front bar, we have Radiant Aura. From the Templar's Restoring Light, this will provide our teammates with minor intellect, endurance, and fortitude for a full minute, increasing magicka, stamina, and health recovery respectively. Especially when you pair these buffs with Jorvuld's, this ends up being an incredibly easy 100% uptime. Next is Combat Prayer. From the Restoration Staff, you know it and you love it. It will provide a burst of healing to several players, grant them minor resolve and minor berserk, increasing their resistances and increasing their damage done respectively. Next is Illustrious Healing. This Restoration Staff skill is an excellent AoE heal that will definitely help you keep your team alive. We also need this for the Master's Restoration Staff, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Next is Budding Seeds. From the Warden's Green Balance, this is another great AoE heal, and it's also a burst heal with a unique synergy. This will be the main way that we proc a couple of the Warden passives, such as Nature's Gift and Accelerated Growth. Next is Radiating Regeneration. Your first sticky heal over time, this Restoration Staff skill is an excellent way to provide some passive healing to your teammates. And for our first ultimate, we have Soul Siphon. From the Nightblade's Siphoning skill line, we won't really ever be casting this skill, hopefully, though it is a great uh-oh button if you need a lot of healing really quickly. Instead, we're slotting this here to activate the Magicka Flood passive, which gives us a lot of extra magicka and stamina. Now, onto our back bar Destruction Staff, we have Siphoning Attacks, another siphoning skill. It's a great way to gain some extra resources in a hurry, as well as activating the Transfer passive, which will increase our ultimate generation just a little bit. I also realized that in my dungeon video, I accidentally called this Siphoning Strikes instead of Siphoning Attacks, so I apologize for that. It's Siphoning Attacks, that's the one you want. Next is Elemental Blockade, and the main reason we're almost always going to have this Destruction Staff skill on our back bar is so that we can proc our back bar enchantment. There is also the chance that it applies a little elemental debuff to an enemy as well, so that's pretty nice. Next, we've got Extended Ritual, a fantastic Restoring Light AoE heal that has a large range for times when your party might be a bit spread out. On top of that, it also provides a cleanse synergy that can be great for you when you need to purge some debuffs. Up next, we have either Overflowing Altar or Energy Orb. Both from the Undaunted skill line, Overflowing Altar provides minor lifesteal and a synergy that restores health. Energy Orb is a slow-moving AoE heal that also provides a resource restore synergy. I tend to find that the group healer will run Altar and the off healer will run Orb, though as long as these skills are present in the party through someone, it doesn't really matter which healer runs which of these skills. It's just, makes it a little easier to coordinate. And next we have Echoing Vigor. From the Assault skill line, this is another great heal over time that you'll want to keep active as much as possible because it provides a ton of passive healing. And finally, our back bar ult, we have Aggressive Warhorn. Also from the Assault skill line, this ultimate will grant our allies extra magicka and stamina, as well as give everyone major force, which increases critical damage. Finally, it's on to our sets, traits, and enchantments. As we usually do, let's start by talking about our front bar set, or our chest, hands, legs, feet, and belt. In this spot, you'll want Jorvuld's Guidance. You can find this set in the Scalecaller Peak dungeon, and it will extend the duration of all buffs and damage shields you cast. The weight will be all light because Jorvuld's is only available in light armor. For our trait, I'd recommend using Divines, though using Infused on pieces with higher enchantment scaling is also perfectly acceptable. For those enchantments, we'll want all max magicka. For our back bar set, or in other words, our jewelry and destruction staff, we'll want Roaring Opportunist. Found in the Kind's Aegis trial, this set will grant Major Slayer, increasing damage done against group content monsters to 6 allies when you heavy attack. So, if you heavy attack 2 times, you've now given Major Slayer to all 12 allies in your trial party. The reason we pair Jorvuld's Guidance with this set is that the Major Slayer buff you get from Roaring Opportunist only lasts for 12 seconds, and can only be given to allies once every 22 seconds. So when you add Jorvuld's Guidance to that, you won't be able to quite reach 100% uptime on Major Slayer, but you can certainly get pretty close. For our destruction staff, the element isn't too important, so run whatever you feel like. The trait will be infused to keep a higher uptime on our enchantment, and that enchantment will either be Crushing or Berserker. Crushing reduces enemy armor, Berserker grants you more weapon and spell damage. For our jewelry, we'll want the arcane trait in either the Magicka recovery or spell damage enchantments, or just a combination of the two. Next is our monster set, meaning the two-piece set that we get on our head and our shoulders. In this spot, we'll want Ozazen the Inferno. Found in Vet Scrivener's Hall, this set will provide extra armor to allies when you overheal them, and it will grant them minor vitality, which increases their healing received when you heal them. This is a great defensive set that's been a staple in the healing community for quite a while now. For weight, you'll want, one light, one medium for a little more sustain. Maybe you could do 2 medium for a little more healing. However, my totally unbiased opinion, completely unbiased, will say that 1 medium and 1 heavy for those extra defenses and increased resources from the Undaunted passive are the way to go. I'm just kidding. You can choose whichever one suits you best. It may just depend on, your group and what you're doing and all that. Oh, and those traits and enchantments will be the same as our body pieces. Lastly, we've got our Mythic and Arena weapons section. In this case, it will be the Master's Perfected Restoration Staff, otherwise known as Grand Rejuvenation, from the Dragon Star Arena. When casting either Morph of the Grand Healing skill or, for this build, Illustrious Healing, the initial hit will restore resources to allies standing in the circle. For the trait, you'll either want Powered for the extra healing or Decisive for increased ultimate generation. For the enchantment, you'll want either Absorb Magicka or Berserker. And that was everything we had to cover in this episode of ESO Healer Build Breakdown. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. I've still got plenty more build videos in the works, so make sure to subscribe and check out the link tree in the description so you don't miss any of those. I'd also like to take a moment to thank my Patreon supporters Dylan Stewart and Sharnay Lee, as well as my YouTube members King Gingy, Durgy, Insert Username, and Eric from Ohio. Thank you guys for continuing to support me, and it means more to me than you know. I think all I've got left to say is that I've been Doc. Take care of yourselves, be good to others, don't forget about that second heavy attack, and I will catch y'all in the next one.